everybody, this is Jackie's with Jackie's Wreaths and Things. I'm going to show you how I make a ruffle wreath. I'm going to be using 10-inch mesh, and we're going to cut it 20 inches long. The best part about only cutting it 20 inches long, it only uses one roll of mesh. So that's going to save you money in the long run. Also, once again, I'm using Craig Bachman mesh. If you want to know how you're getting Craig Bachman mesh, here's the label. No matter where you buy it, this will be the label that you see. Or on the back, you will see this label. So possibly this one or this one when you're purchasing a Craig Bachman product. Now I have already cut a few of these, but I'm going to cut a couple with you. Be careful when you're cutting these. You really want to make sure that you are only measuring them 20 inches when you cut them. Like I said, it'll only take one roll of mesh. I'm once again using a rotary cutter. The one that I use is a Fisker rotary cutter. And we're going to set that aside. So I've already got all the pieces of my mesh cut. So let's bring the frame up. The frame that I'm using, once again, it's a work frame. Now what's different about this one that I'm using, it's an 18-inch work frame that you can buy at Walmart. The first thing I'm going to do, once again, I'm going to straighten my ties out. The one thing I like about the frames from Walmart, it's got this extra wire as it comes around the bottom and top to secure and it keeps the mesh from rolling back. Also, it's a little bit thinner than the typical work forms that you purchase at other places like Craft Outlet. So this one and the technique that I'm going to show you on how I ruffle is perfect for when you have an order for a screen door. Once again, there's going to be 8 ties on top, and 10 on the bottom. Now, as I come along, because we're going to do the bottom first with our ruffle, I'm going to open the ties up. Once again, this is going to help you handle your mesh less and prevent fraying. One of the most common things that people encounter are fraying. That mostly has to do with the quality of mesh that you buy. I do not recommend using Hobby Lobby mesh, Michael's mesh, or actually most of your craft stores mesh, because it will fray a great deal. Also, the value mesh that you get from other places will fray. So now that I've got my ties open on the bottom, I'm going to use my tighter rolled pieces on the bottom. Once again, I'm going to ruffle these with the roll. Now the reason I'm going to ruffle these with the roll, I'll show you once I tie it in. Once again, I'm ruffling these about a ½ inch as I go. So I'm going to place this in the tie, and I'm going to tie it in very secure. Now the reason on the bottom that I ruffle these in and I do it down is because as I go, I'm going to create a channel for my ribbon to set in. Also, I want it to roll down so it's not pushing on my top layer. As I put my ruffle in, I'm going to purposely lay it on top of the other ruffle. I do not want to push my ruffles out or fluff my ruffles up. So like I said, I am creating a channel for my ribbon to lay in. If you pull them up, it's going to cause your ribbon to stand up in a way that you don't like. So like I said, I'm creating a channel. So as I go on with each piece, I am laying the ruffle on top of the other one, basically layering it to create that channel for your ribbon to lay in. Everything that I do is about building a good quality product. And a good quality product starts with your base. Now, since the mesh is the fraction of the cost of the wreath, I believe that mesh should highlight your ribbon and show it off. Notice too that when I'm done with my ties, I'm facing them out, not up, because later on, I don't want them snagging my mesh, creating a fray for me. On the bottom, I continue to pick out the tighter rolled pieces of my mesh to go along the bottom. The ruffle base is perfect for a lot of things. It's perfect for if you have a screen door wreath that you need to do. It's also perfect for heavy signs. The reason it's perfect for heavy signs, that if you have a heavy sign that's going to go straight down to the frame anyway because of the weight, you're not going to end up smashing your mesh. But if you do want to use a poof for a heavy sign, the next tutorial is going to show you how to do that. Now, once again, this is an 18-inch form that I'm doing. You can use this same technique on a 15-inch. If you go down to a 10-inch, You probably only need a 15-inch ruffle. The last ruffle on the bottom, I'm making sure that it overlaps on this ruffle and that ruffle. So now let me tilt this up and let me show you what I've created. I don't know if you can see it that well, but I have created a channel for my ribbon to sit in around. There's nothing that's going to stop my ribbon and cause it to close up when I'm making my wreath. Once again, as I go to the top, the first thing I'm going to do to cut down on the amount that I handle my mesh and to prevent fray is I'm going to open my ties. Now on the top, to make sure that the ruffle lays flat, we don't want it cupping up. We want it flat as possible so our ribbon will lay properly. Once again, I'm going to go against the roll when I'm doing my ruffle. And once again, I'm gathering it up approximately about a 1/2 inch as I go so that I have a flat ruffle to go on top. As I lay my ruffles once again, I am going to purposefully lay my ruffle on top of each other. I'm not going to pull them up. I'm not going to fluff them up. I want them to lay as flat as possible so that later on my ribbon will lay properly. Because isn't that what it's really about? It's all about the ribbon. Now, if you choose to use a 30-inch ruffle, the same technique would apply. You would do the same thing on the bottom as you do on the top. The one really nice thing about the ruffle wreath is that if you're a beginner, it's super easy to do. It rounds itself out so you have a beautiful wreath from the start. It doesn't take near as much effort as a poof wreath. Because once you get done adding your ruffles, there's nothing else that you'll have to do to this wreath except for add your ribbon and goodies. Notice how I'm making sure that my ties are straight up. Last one. Now look at that. Isn't that just beautiful? Full, very rounded. It's also flat. I've created a channel down here. The bottom of the ruffle on the bottom will support your ribbon and keep it from sagging down. The flatness of the ruffle on the top is going to make it so that your ribbon will lay flat, not stick up straight. And also, this is very thin. This wreath is only 3 inches wide. So this is perfect for your screen door wreaths without having to buy a flat frame. By the time you put your ribbon on, it'll only be 4 inches. Thank y'all so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Bye, y'all.